Welcome back to Andrea's video blog. My name is Andrea and I'm your dating explorer. So last week we were talking about creating your own dating rules. Instead of happily ever after, how about we generate happy every minute, happy every hour, happy every day? And what else is possible? Could we possibly feel joy, ease, and abundance in our dating life? So that was last week, and what I did to end last week's chat was to ask all of you to think about love and define what love means to you. What does love mean to you? And I received some fantastic, interesting, fascinating responses by email and in person. So I wanted to share what I discovered over the past week from different people. Some people had told me that love makes them feel secure, and it's like an anchor that amidst all the ups and downs of life, they have something to ground them, to keep them steady. Someone used a really fun image of love being an umbrella, that when they're out in the rain, the umbrella gives them some protection. And I thought that was really charming, actually. Other people talked about love being work. You know, in and out, round and round, but it really came down to work, and they really could live without it. Other people talked about how love hurts, and love was pain. And someone even went so far as to say that, well, love kills. But I think that had to do with an Ed Hardy ad, so maybe that was a little out of context, so we'll leave that one on the side. People also told me about how love was that feeling of butterflies in their stomach, the feeling of when they leaned in for their first kiss with someone, or the first time they held hands, or did something really special, like walking by the beach or something like that. And that feeling, that intense emotion that really has us going back for more, doesn't it? So, what does love mean to me? Well, of course, I love my research, so I went, searching through my books and my music and my films, and I came up with a quote from a book by Zora Neale Hurston called Their Eyes Were Watching God. Her lead character is named Janie. And Janie says in the book that love is like the sea. It's a moving thing. And it's different on every shore. And I thought about that, and that really resonated for me because it reminded me of maybe 3 different kinds of love I've had in my life. And the first was probably when I was about 5 years old, and I saw the cutest boy at school who ended up being one of my neighbors. And basically, I've had a crush on him for over 20 years, and I just remember that little puppy love feeling of seeing him walking down the hall, going into class, seeing him in the lunchroom, and it was very, very cute when I think back to those times because he literally made me blush every time. I still hated boys, probably up to the age of 12, but around him, I began to think that, maybe there's something a little different. When I was 19, that was actually my first love, and that hit me like a ton of bricks. I had this DJ, he worked on our campus radio station, and he wooed me through his radio show at midnight. He used to play me old school R&B and soul songs from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So on his first show, after listening to it, I liked him. The second show, I liked him a little more. Throw in a little Luther Vandross and Minnie Riperton, and after about 10 shows, I think I had a love thing going on. So it was such a great experience, and maybe by the time I loved again, years later, that's where I was a bit confused. And I didn't understand why I didn't feel like the first time. And I thought maybe this really wasn't the one. And, well, you know how I feel about that now. but at the time it just caused a lot of anxiety, and kind of got to the point where I had to forget what it was to love somebody the first time, to really be able to love him in the present. And so I got really present in that relationship, and I just saw him for him. And he gave me love and I gave him love back. And it ended, but I learned something. And I learned that it did look different every time I was with someone different, because I wasn't 19 anymore and I wasn't with the same partner. So why would the love still be the same? So for all of you who haven't experienced love, and there are a lot of you out there actually, and I did receive comments about that, wondering what the feeling was like. I think the feeling most commonly among people is that it's just a very intense feeling that you have that's a little bit different than, when it's your birthday. Or maybe it's like that actually. I'll take that back. Maybe it's like that feeling when you're 5 and you've got that big birthday cake in front of you with all the candles. And then why don't we multiply that times 100? So maybe that's what the feeling is about. But the way it manifests in a life is really different per person, I guess. And so those of you waiting in the wings, hoping for that great love to appear on stage, I invite you to think about it differently. To think that maybe that person won't be on stage. Maybe that person will be in the dressing room. Maybe that person might be in the wings right next to you. You never know where it's going to show up. And for all of you, could we think about love as being more than just romantic love? Could we open ourselves to nurture the relationships we have in our life with other people? There are loving relationships that can be found in your families, the relationships with your friends, even the relationships with your coworkers. I found sometimes when you're looking so hard for one person, you miss out on the loving around you that may come from many and not just one. Allow people to love you. And I think love will find a way to find you if you really ultimately believe there will be only one person to love you the way you would like to be loved. But in the meantime, enjoy yourself. Nurture the loving relationships around you. And this is for everyone. There will be times where you will be alone. And don't get stuck in the loneliness. Maybe nurture the loving relationships you already have. And I think the rest will find itself into your life. And so find the definition, change the definition, but allow for warmth and nurturing and caring and respect in your life. And I think those are a lot of words that I associate with love. So that's my 5.5 cents for today. And I'd like to thank all of you for listening and watching me. And I look forward to talking to you next week. We will be talking about another topic called trust. And I hope you will write to me, email me, and contact me if you'd like me to explore any issues. So thanks so much. Be well.